Hey everyone, excited to be back for this week's edition of Frequently Asked Questions for Commercial Real Estate. In today's video, what I want to do is talk about some concepts that I'm going to be actually discussing in my new book, Before You Buy That Building. It's a comprehensive guide for small business owners that are interested to buy commercial real estate for their business use. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about some of the expectations to the purchase process of buying commercial real estate. But before we dive into this video, I would greatly appreciate if you can like and subscribe to this channel. It really helps the YouTube algorithm and ensures more and more people can hear this message and learn about the many facets of commercial real estate. So now that you've done that, go ahead and like and subscribe below. Let's go ahead and dive right into this episode. All right, as I said, this is my new book. It's called Before You Buy That Building. We're actually going to be releasing it here in the next few weeks. But today what I wanted to do is share some of the insights that I have learned throughout my time in the commercial real estate space, in particular helping business owners buy commercial property. So typically when I first start working with a business owner that's looking to purchase a commercial building, I like to work with them by setting expectations about the road ahead. And so we're going to share 4 things that you need to consider prior to even starting the process of trying to purchase commercial property. So to start off, the number one thing I like to specify with people is there's no such thing as a perfect property. If you are looking to buy commercial property, maybe you've had some experience leasing commercial space, so maybe you already have a little bit of this expectation outlined. However, there are instances where people are trying to find a perfect property for their particular use. They believe that if they go out there and they search hard enough, they can find something that really checks all the boxes. And although that may be a reality, in most cases, there's always going to be something about a building that you do not like, whether it's an odd orientation or maybe the visibility is not the greatest, or something about the property just doesn't conform exactly to what you're doing as far as your business is concerned. Really what you need to understand and what you need to get comfortable with is you need to go through your top 3-4 things and make sure that the building fits those criteria. And then for some reason, if you're going through the process of looking for commercial property and you realize that maybe your expectations or your criteria are out of whack with what the market is like, it's important to sit down with your commercial agent to revise those and see if you can find or modify them slightly so that you can open up a broader box of potential properties to go look at. So that's the first thing I typically do, is explain that there's no such thing as a perfect property. And if you find a property that checks most of the boxes, you can always modify the space through contracting a general contractor to work through whatever issues you may find within the property. So that's number 1. Number 2 is that it usually takes longer than you think. Unlike buying a home that usually takes you, at the most 60 days, usually it's in the 30 to 60 day range. Commercial property can be quite different. Usually commercial banks take at least 45 days, oftentimes 60 days to fund a loan, and then ultimately you can close thereafter. If you're going through the SBA route, a lot of times they have additional screening that needs to take place, that they're usually just a slower processing, and then the documentation that you have to provide them is additional. And so they can take 90 days, sometimes even 120 days to get the loan processed and approved. Along with that, with the due diligence process, if anything that comes up that needs to be addressed prior to you closing, that needs to be taking place as well. We've had situations in the past where rezoning has had to take place, or maybe something was found during the process of actually doing the due diligence that dragged out the process even more. One particular closing in our office, Nick Grisanti had a closing that took place almost 2 years after he started. So obviously that is not the norm, but it's things that can happen in the commercial real estate landscape. So understand that it's probably going to take longer than you think. So just get ready for a relatively long road to getting you in your commercial building. But once you're in it, it's going to be worthwhile as far as the wait's concerned. So that's number 2. Number 3 is to get your financial documents in order. I can't tell you how many times I've started working with someone and I encourage them to reach out to a lender, and then they all of a sudden are shocked by the amount of information that they're going to require from them in order to finance a loan. Usually lenders are going to want at least a personal financial statement. They're going to want tax returns. They're going to want a balance sheet, potentially credit reports, all these different types of financial information to make sure that you are a good credit risk for them to be able to loan. And the reason why they do this is because commercial loans are typically held on their books as a commercial lender. It doesn't conform to, let's say, the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac guidelines like residential loans do that they can sell off on a secondary market. So when they take on commercial loans as within their books, they want to make sure that it is a good risk. And so there's usually an additional layer of screening that's involved that may or may not be as stringent as you would find in a residential setting where you're actually going to occupy a residence. So that's number 3, is to get your financial documents in order and make sure that if a lender requests something from you, you respond to them extremely quickly so you can continue the process and make sure that you get into your space as quickly as possible. And then finally, number 4 is that your mortgage is not your only expense. Now, if you've been leasing commercial space for a while, you may have had to pay additional expenses like mortgage insurance or taxes, but there are some situations where you may be occupying space and all you're paying for is utilities and water. And if anything breaks or, if anything comes up that would require additional expenditure of capital, that may have been the responsibility of the landlord. However, now when you buy your commercial property, you take on 100% responsibility for the building. So if the HVAC unit goes out, you have to replace it. If there's a hole that gets punched in the wall for some reason, that is going to be yours to replace. So all the things that you would think about as far as potential repair and maintenance costs, increases in taxes, insurance, etc., those are going to be additional expenses you pay on top of your mortgage. So when you go through the process of identifying commercial property, understand that there will be additional expenses you have to pay on a month-to-month basis just being a property owner. And so creating a little buffer in your mortgage payment, to account for those types of expenses is a wise decision. So hopefully you gain some value from this video. I greatly appreciate you guys' all support with this channel. If you like this channel, please like and subscribe below. If you guys are interested in securing a copy of my latest book, Before You Buy That Building, I'd be happy to send you a link to be able to pre-order it. And again, I'll be announcing my launch party here shortly, so you'll have some information on that if you are local to Louisville and want to attend. But again, thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time.